Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin. I'm a new grad nurse, and today we're doing a little bit of a different topic. Instead of my usual nursing education lectures, today I'm going to be talking about 5 things I wish I knew before starting nursing school. And don't worry, if you're already in nursing school, these things can still be applied. Okay? So this is why today I have a little bit of music in the background, because I'm just going to be yapping. Okay, so the first thing I wish I did was network with nurses. I did do a little bit of it, and I'm going to show you how it was important and useful to me. So I networked with preceptors, okay? They wrote my letter of recommendation for the hospital where I interned at, and eventually that really helped me land a job there because I was 1 out of 9 residents, or I was 1 out of 9 residents in this pool that got selected from a total of 2,600 applicants, okay? So having preceptors be able to vouch for you and observe your skills and your growth as a nurse and then write a letter of recommendation for you was really important. And it's 100% true. It's about who you know, not what you know, right? Obviously, you need to know a little bit of, like, you can't be an airhead, right? But helping you with connections is a big thing that preceptors are good for. The next thing is professors. Professors are really good because they open doors for me to get jobs at the university, and that helped me build more experience. As I go on through these 5 tips, you can really notice that a lot of these tips are going to be intertwined. So the jobs at the university are going to come back, right? And professors also wrote letters of recommendation for me, which I found really helpful. Especially if you can TA for them, they'll get to know you on a better level. Clinical instructors are a really good alternative for preceptors, okay? Because I know for my school, sometimes students didn't get a set preceptor when they were in their last semester of nursing school. So a clinical instructor from a previous semester that watched you for like 15 weeks on your med-surg rotation, for example, they can specifically attest to your bedside manner and skills rather than just your education smarts, right? So this is a good alternative for those that don't get a preceptor. And also, if you can swing it, have your director write a letter of recommendation for you. I was really lucky because I had her as a professor before she went full-time back to her director position, and she wrote my letter of recommendation for the summer nursing student internship, which landed me my job. So you kind of can see how all of this is intertwined, right? My director wrote me a letter of rec for the internship, and the internship is where I met my preceptor, and my preceptor wrote me a letter of rec for my job application, right? So all of this is intertwined, and it really helps a lot, and I really wish new grads would do this more. And I love it when I see nursing students do this more. I really love it when I see students on clinical like asking a nurse, hey, can I add you on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever they're comfortable asking, right? Or their phone number, right? My preceptor and I got really close, so we just text each other. So that was something I wish more people did. 2 was get experience. Now I did a little bit of this and I'll talk about it, but the best thing was probably being a CNA or PCT, which is what I did not do. I regret it so much because the hands-on experience you get from being a PCT is so immeasurable. You can't measure. That's worth its weight in gold, right? The bed making skills, the ambulating the patients, we covered that in nursing school, but I only got a day on it and I don't feel really comfortable with it. So that's why I feel so behind compared to other students in my cohort that were PCTs. They were just immediately bam, on the get-go, they knew what to do. And I'm sure when they're not on the floor, they already know how to do all this and they can feel comfortable calling the PCT over. This is something I'm still working with. So I wish more nursing students would be able to get this experience. Plus, there's other benefits like being an internal hire. For example, my hospital, if you were a PCT and you became an RN, you get to take your seniority and transfer it over for an RN. So if you did 3 years of being a PCT, you get 1 year of RN seniority. And that goes a long way when you're in unions and they bid for positions. So what I did was a home health aide. It's basically a foot in the door. It's good enough just to get into nursing school, on your nursing school application, but it's just a fraction of what being a CNA PCT is like, because home health aide and caregiving, which is also what I did, was not as hectic as the CNA PCT experience. EMS, it's also real patient experience, also a foot in the door, and you get to practice your hands-on skills a lot. The blood pressure, cuff, like, you know, and having access to the EMS, blanking on the name right now, but basically the physician of the EMS, if you guys can remember what it's called. Oh god, I'm blanking right now. But you can ask them questions and they can really help you get a better clinical understanding of the pathophysiology of the disease and all that stuff. Caregiver is something that I also did, and once again, it's just a foot in the door, but it's not as helpful as being a CNA or PCT, because especially I got this private caregiver gig, which was really cush. It was like 1-to-1. It was like the dream scenario for a student, but in terms of experience, I wish I did more something hardcore like being a CNA or EMS. Now the third thing is develop a good study routine. Know your strategies. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a shameless plug referring to like my second video. I'll link it in the top right hand corner, I believe. But knowing what works for you, how to study efficiently is really important. Also, finding out when is an optimal time to study, right? If you're a morning person, afternoon person, it's really important to know when you're most effective. Sorry, my cat wants attention again. So it's going to be a shameless plug again when you can refer to my video where you can see my scheduling, like when I found time to study. But it's also important to know to be flexible and be gracious with yourself. Because if you're a morning person, but you get morning clinicals, you're only going to be able to study in the night, right? And you just have to be flexible and be gracious with yourself and not beat yourself too hard on like, why am I not absorbing of this info, right? Just do the best you can. Setting boundaries. This is what I asked my cohort members, what helped you guys succeed? Because some of my cohort members were parents, right? And they said setting boundaries with their family and children. They told their kids, hey, mom's studying from 1 to 4. Please, like, you know, don't bother me during this time. So they're really fortunate to have a partner that can help, you know, handle the kids in that situation. And also it ties into scheduling when you're going to study, right? Because if you only have 1 to 4 to study and you got to make dinner at 5 for the kids, you got to lock in during that 4 hours, right? Or 3 hours. You got to put away your phone and really lock in. Develop this good routine, because this habit will carry you a long way. The more you practice it, it's uncomfortable at first, but the more practice, the more you get used to it, the faster and better you will be at it, okay? Now, tips 1 through 3, they can all be double dipped, right? This is what everyone asked me a lot, like, Kevin, how did you work, intern, you know, and study and get a 4.0 while doing all this other stuff, right? And the trick was I did a lot of things that were centric to nursing. I was always double dipping, right? So for example, if you were working as a CNA and PCT, you get experience in the charting, you get the hands-on tasks, but you also get the benefits of being an internal hire and having seniority, right? But you're also getting paid. So try to get jobs and get paid in areas that will reinvest back into your nursing education, right? So for example, I didn't work as a caregiver during my time at school, but I was a tutor and TA. And how this helped was because I got experience in teaching other people. I got experience in practicing the Feynman technique, which I referred to in my video about teaching back and explaining complex topics simply, right? And it also let me network with staff, which was my whole point, the first point, which is networking with nurses, right? These networking skills let me get a letter of recommendation, and then I also got to refresh my memory on nursing topics that I had trouble with, because a lot of times when I got 2Ts, they often asked me questions that I had trouble with, right? Because usually everybody struggles with ABGs the first time around. The summer internship, right? I got paid, I got to network, I got to have patient experience. So I hope you guys can kind of see that I'm kind of double dipping, right? Everything I do is nursing school and getting paid, experience into networking. All this stuff is kind of in this mumble jumbo mess, right? And it's kind of the goal. Okay. And the last thing, and you might think it's a little bit of oddball, but I personally think it's one of the most important, is journaling, okay? Oops, sorry. One, it's therapeutic. I can't tell you how many times after a long day of clinical where I got like screamed at by the patient or whatever, I just wanted to explode, right? But it's a form of self-care if you can just let out all your feelings in a therapeutic way here. But also, if you guys are really ambitious and be like, there's got to be an ambitious twist, right? And yes, there is. This is what puts you a leg up above everybody else, okay? And journaling can help you remember things and bring it back up at a later point. Why is that important, right? So say you had an interesting patient scenario at clinical, and it's important because it can be used in interviews. I can do a whole separate video on how I prepared for my interviews at the local hospitals, and the common STAR technique and all that stuff. But a lot of the interviews are going to ask you situational questions and behavioral questions, right? And like clinical questions as well. So they're going to often ask you, like, tell us about a time where you had to deal with a difficult patient. And when I was preparing for my interviews, I could only remember a couple really traumatic ones, right? And I was like, dang, I wish I really journaled more and I had more things to say, more stories to tell, because then I wouldn't have to just really think so hard or think back or recycle the same story over and over again, right? So if you can have a wide variety of stories to pick from, you're going to be in a way better spot. So just to, summarize everything that we went over, the 5 tips. The first one is networking. The second tip is getting experience. And the third thing is developing a good study routine, right? And tips 1 to 3, try to do something in that nursing field, networking with nurses, working with nurses, education, teaching, PCT, EMS, double dip, right? So you get the most bang of your buck. You get paid and you also get experience hands-on, right? And lastly, journal so you can have stories to tell for your interviews. All right. Hope this didn't ramble on too long, but let me know if you have any questions or you have any topics you want me to consider in the future. But other than that, happy studying. Good luck with nursing school. Bye.